Ever found yourself in a sticky scenario where you're being disrespected publicly? A rude, sarcastic comment in front of others, perhaps. An awkward joke that leaves you feeling undervalued and humiliated. In such scenarios, have you ever thought, how should I react to not just preserve my dignity, but actually earn the respect of the people who usually have no regard for anyone's worth? Don't worry, you aren't alone. All of us must have faced such moments, and the great thing is, you have more control than you think over how you handle them. In this video, we are going to present to you some really effective tips and psychological hacks inspired by the ancient wisdom of Stoic philosophy that will not only help you get by unfazed in awkward situations, but earn respect, even from people around you. Stick around, because we are going to go through how to respond smartly and start converting uncomfortable situations into an opportunity to reaffirm your self-respect. First things first, let's establish why sometimes you find yourself in these situations. Most of the time, it isn't out of a general dislike towards you, or some personal vendetta, and the underlying issue is the opportunism that some people display who try to elevate themselves by dragging others down. They think that if you look weak or uncomfortable, they will stand out more, and this type of behavior is predominant, not just at your workplace, but also in social circles and even in families. Stoic philosophy, with its timeless insights, teaches us that respect isn't something that needs to be demanded or imposed on others. It's about how you carry yourself around and how you build and set boundaries with yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In moments like these, it's not what goes outside that matters the most. It's how you stay calm and composed. That's your best weapon. And it's not just how you react in challenging encounters, but the bigger picture is also how you create a setting where respect for you becomes a GI. You don't want people you know to use you as a step to rise in their own image. You need to show that you are aware of your worth and won't be influenced by cheap shots or undermining acts. So transform into a Satori warrior. We are about to teach you how you can adapt Stoic philosophy to your daily life. These tiny steps will help you stand your ground. And every time you feel off-balanced or undervalued, remember, respect is not something that is earned with aggressive counterattacks, but with the demeanor with which you assertively control yourself. And so let's move on to the first strategy. First impressions matter so much. First impressions are the basis of how you are referred to as, and guess what? It's often less about what you say, but more about how you present yourself. Pictures this, you're at an important networking event. Someone walks in, scans. The whole room makes their way towards you. They extend a hand for greeting, but instead of getting up, you remain seated and casually glance at their hand before shaking it. Boom, the result, you send a signal of lacking confidence and that this interaction probably doesn't matter much to you. Simple facts have made a big difference. The Stoics were able to comprehend this entirely. The reality is that simple gestures such as getting up and maintaining direct eye contact while greeting aren't good manners, but powerful demonstrations of confidence and self-awareness. When you stand up and shake someone's hand, you're subtle communicating equality, readiness, and mutual respect. And that aligns with the key Stoic principle: how you show yourself reflects your values and how you are perceived by others. Let me share a short story. I once attended a professional seminar where the idea was networking among the attendees, and one individual stood out. Whether he was meeting a high-ranking executive or thanking a waiter for refilling his coffee, he stood up, looked him in the eye, and engaged completely. It wasn't flashy or overdone, but it made an impression. People respected him not because of what he said, but because of how he carried himself with every conversation. He commanded respect with apparent ease. In contrast, I noticed another attendee who remained seated at every greeting. He did not intentionally try to come out as disinterested, it was just a habit. Yet that seemingly small gesture created an invisible barrier between him and people he met. He was automatically taken less seriously, even though he was just as competent as everyone else in the room, highlighting an important truth. Standing up isn't just courtesy, but claiming the other's value and your own. The lesson is simple, right? Rising up to greet someone isn't just an act of courtesy, it's a claim to how you value yourself and how others are treated with you. Here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics didn't pay attention to things out of their control. They magnified what was in their power. In this case, the way we behave, our presentation, and how we communicate our worth through small yet meaningful actions. If you want to adopt this lesson in your life, start with everyday encounters. Whenever you intend to meet someone, be it in an office, at a cafe, or even during a Zoom call, ensure you are fully present. Stand up when you meet someone, look them in the eye, maintain body language that projects confidence. These small behaviors will not only earn you respect, but point out to others your inherent worth, a reflection of Stoic principle in action. Remember, first impressions aren't just about appearances, they're about how you show your confidence, self-respect, and respect for others. This is the essence of what Stoicism teaches us. Live with intention, pay attention to the small things, and let those actions define who you are. So the next time, if you meet with someone, rise to the occasion, look them in the eye, and let your actions speak louder than words. Tip 2. If someone interrupts you in public when you're talking, the first thing you should do is give that person a firm, determined look. When someone interrupts you while you're talking, especially in a public setting, it could get really frustrating. You're trying to say something and someone jumps in, cutting off your train of thought. But hold on a second. The natural reaction for many is to get angered or respond sharply, but that pretty much exacerbates the whole situation and makes you seem less composed. So what should you do? This is where Stoic philosophy comes in to help you conduct yourself in calmness and authority. Stoicism teaches us real strength doesn't stem from controlling others, but by mastering ourselves. You see here, a steady gaze conveys far stronger message than words when responding to someone who interrupted you. Instead of reacting, impulsively pause, look directly at the individual who interrupted you with an unfocused gaze. Let silence speak for you. Their action is inappropriate, and you won't tolerate disrespect. Not just that, it also displays confidence and encourages the other person to reflect on their action. Remember, once in the middle of a family dinner, I was telling a funny story when a relative interjected their version of the story. Initially, I was flustered and awkward, but instead of cutting them off mid-sentence, I paused, looked at them, and I waited. The silence lasted only a few seconds, but it held more weight than any words could have. They quickly realized they had interrupted at the wrong moment. While fumbling around, they allowed me to continue. Therefore, the rest of the evening went really smooth, and I regained the conversation without any drama, which works particularly well in groups. By remaining in control, you are naturally drawing more attention. Thus, your presence becomes stronger, and you don't need to raise your voice or argue to reclaim your place in the conversation. Stoicism teaches us not to let someone work, which happens to us, govern our words or actions. We instead use tools like body language and calmness to steer the conversation towards the right direction. But the gaze is just the beginning. Once the interruption is addressed, return your attention to your discussion with a request for the individual to repeat what they were just saying. Something like, "Let me pick up where I left off," will not just confirm your right to speak, but keep intact the respect for everyone involved. Remember, the goal isn't to shame anyone, but to set the tone that respect of communication is non-negotiable. What's remarkable about this approach is that it demands no aggression or intimidation. Just stay calm, Avoid showing any active anger and let your actions do the talking. When people see you handle inserts with confidence and intention, they will not only respect you more, but also examine their own behavior. Stoicism reminds us that true power lies in staying level-headed, even when things are difficult. So when someone interrupts, you don't lose your cool and hold your gaze, letting others know you are worth it. Tip 3. When someone tries to humiliate you with a joke in front of your friends, all you have to do is smile. When someone in your group of friends makes a joke to deliberately humiliate you, your first response might be to be upsetly embarrassed, but remember how you respond will dictate the entire dynamic of the situation. This is where Stoic philosophy could come in really handy. Once during a casual meetup with old friends, someone decided to make fun and mock me in front of everyone by telling an embarrassing story from our school days. At first, my face got hot, and I immediately wanted to fight back. But instead of giving in to emotions, I recalled a Stoic principle, that whatever does not harm your essence isn't worth your concern. I smiled and pretended I hadn't heard the story, asking my friend kindly to repeat it, whilst remaining composed and slightly inquisitive. Now, here's the interesting part. When the individual had to tell the joke again, its impact diminished significantly. Not only that, but people in our group began to see the awkwardness of forcing someone to recall a joke that wasn't so effective no more. The loud laughter from before seemed to diminish, and the storyteller became much more fumbling, aware that their humiliation had backfired. The point here is that asking someone to repeat their joke not only minimizes its impact, but also displays you're unfazed, and that lets you remain in control without resorting any retaliation or embarrassing yourself. Most importantly, it shifts the balance of power back in your favor without resorting to childish tactics or losing your dignity by choosing this action. You send a strong message that you are someone of inner strength who won't let small provocations dictate how you feel. And this is right at the heart of Stoic philosophy, staying calm in the face of minor life challenges where it relates to practicality. First up, remember, you don't need to rush in response to every action or word. Pause, take a breath, and then react. Second, use silence as a potent tool. Silence isn't passive. It opens space for the other person to come to terms with their actions. Finally, when you do respond, do it calmly. Could you repeat what you said? Said in a neutral tone will have far more impact than arguing or pushing back. Stoicism teaches us your reactions to anything uncomfortable reflect your character and inner values. Every time you stay calm and refuse to let negativity dominate and take control, you will not only gain the respect of others, but also strengthen your own sense of worth. So next time someone tries to mock you, remember, you are in full control of how the narrative plays out, and with calmness, you'll remain on top of it all. Tip 4. When some tries to provoke you or get you angry, here's a really effective psychological technique you can use. Have you ever been in a position where someone wanted to provoke or hurt you, and instead of reacting right away, you managed to control it and handle it gracefully? Imagine this. You're at a family meeting, and someone makes a jab about a failure in your career in front of everyone. It's a kind of comment that feels like a dagger to your heart, puncturing a wound you were trying to overcome. Suddenly, all eyes are on you, waiting to see how you will react. At that point, instead of reacting or explaining, you take a brief pause, stay calm, and say, "Hey, does anyone know a good bakery nearby? I was thinking about picking up something for the next gathering." That question completely shifts the vibe. The person trying to provoke you is left stammering and unsure where to go from here, and the conversation shifts to a neutral topic instead. Not only have you diffused the situation, but also shifted the discussion to a positive note. This technique of asking the unrelated question isn't just a clever tactic. It's a way of reclaiming control over yourself and the narrative. By interrupting the flow of provocation, You move the attention away from the negative vibe and refuse to grant satisfaction to the instigator. It's a perfect way to practice Stoic principles, focusing on controlling what you can and refusing to allow external circumstances dictate our inner peace. As Epictetus wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The beauty of this technique is that it successfully derails negativity without confrontation. A well-timed, unrelated question interrupts the instigator's thought process, making it next to impossible to continue, and it allows you to maintain dignified composure, exuding confidence and self-control. It's a powerful way to command respect in any social setting. To get this approach to work at its best, you need to keep your tone and demeanor natural. If it appears forced or planned, it may come out as insincere. Choose a simple neutral question or comment that feels organic to the moment. Something like a nearby restaurant you're planning to head to, a recent event, or even a casual observation. The aim isn't to avoid the situation awkwardly, but nudging the conversation in a fluid and smart way. This technique does not only work in the moment, but builds long-term resilience and inner strength. By refusing to get dragged into petty fights, you're demonstrating to yourself and others that you are in total control of how things evolve. People will notice this composure and come to respect you for it. More importantly, the strategy is a step in the direction of practicing the core Stoic value that is focus on what you can control. You can't force anyone to respect you, but you can choose not to stay where your value isn't recognized. The most powerful part of walking away isn't about creating drama or providing some point. It's a personal, quiet, but firm decision to tell yourself, "I am worth more than this." Marcus Aurelius noted you have power over your mind. Your attitude and choice to stay in a disrespectful environment is allowing others to undermine your value. How do you know when to walk away? It's when you realize all the hard work you put in for respect isn't being appreciated. And when you feel you are constantly fighting to create credibility, don't wait until your self-worth gets crushed. Hear yourself and leave if you have to, because being an absence that's valued is much better than a presence that's belittled. Walking away isn't about yielding or throwing the towel, it's about establishing your boundaries. Stoic philosophy teaches us to not only control ourselves, but to also protect our sense of worth. The next time you find yourself being devalued, remember sometimes the most respectful act you can play is to walk away from the table where your presence isn't valued. Respect isn't begged, it's built by how you decide to treat yourself. Now, I would love to hear about your journey and triumphs. Please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below to share your story, your successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you don't know what to comment, just write "I can do it" to show that you've finished this session. Your engagement helps this community bloom and grow toward wisdom and the art of turning each challenge into an opportunity. I'll leave 2 more videos here so you can continue learning and growing on your personal development journey. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.